Hey everybody, it's me, Lynn Renee McDonald, for Practical Spirituality Live here in Virginia Beach. As you know, yesterday we talked about Mars and Mars energy, as well as a lot of other astrological things and Pluto energy on the planet, or in the sky, really, and the effects that it's having on the planet and the effects that it's having on us personally. Okay, so that said, today I wanted to talk to you about the craziness and give you an example, and then I also wanted to see if I didn't have the time to talk with you about, well, because you can blow up and say fuck you to somebody, right, or have a shit fit at somebody or react at somebody sometimes, or even address things with people. I also want to talk to you about the what is the word I'm looking for? The importance of knowing when to say things, when to react, when to not react. All right. This Mars energy, again, is going to cause some challenges. As you can see, I'm going to use my example, what happened to me. And it's funny, but in many ways, you're like, what the fuck? It's really kind of not funny, but you know that it's in alignment with love, and it's all part of our learning and growing. And that's one of the best ways to look at it. And the good news is, really, nothing really bad came out of it. It was a huge learning lesson for me, and it was great stuff to pray on, and to clear out and heal and change and create me to be different in the space of love energy that I am in within my soul and my connection to God and within all that I am, right? So that said, today I'm going to talk about that example, and then I'm going to talk about being discerning, in many ways about where you want to put your energy in reference to stuff like this, because a lot of times people will ask you questions about things, and or they'll ask you repetitively about, to do something or to change something, or they'll question you about something and you've already either answered them or they haven't answered you. Either way, sometimes when it's best to not answer sometimes, and because it's about where you want to put your energy. All right. Like, to give you an example, just recently, I had somebody who asked me if they could come and stay at my house for, maybe a few weeks or extended period of time. And I was really feeling like, based on their energy and how their energy feels, they have a lot more work to do on them. And I wasn't feeling that this was healthy for me. And in the space that they are in, I was feeling like, this is not a good idea, because they're not going to be able to comprehend, understand what I'm saying with the wisdom of love energy as to why this isn't healthy for me and why this can't happen, and that I'm not trying to be shitty to them. It's just I must do what is best for me from love. And sometimes they're not going to respond well, or they're going to get the shit on based on their unwellness in some way, shape, or form. And do I want to deal with that? How much energy do I want to expend or expel or use creating me or creating I don't know if the word is creating, but making this happen and dealing with this, really creating, do I want to just say, okay, God, let me be free of this and create the best outcome for me? And do I want to answer this person? Should I answer this person? Hey, you can't come to my house, or you can't do it with me. Or you can't stay with me because you have too much work to do on you, and you need to do that first before you can come into my environment, because otherwise it's toxic for me. And then they might take offense to that. I mean, these are all the things that you deal with, right? This is just some stuff that tells you about love energy and how we pick and choose, right, what we want to say and who we want to say it to. It's kind of like, I can talk to you guys on YouTube about all this metaphysical love energy, laws, rules, way things truly authentically work with God or love, right? Right here on YouTube, right? But I cannot really go out into the world, step up on a soapbox box right in the middle of, let's say, the street or the supermarket or a parking lot, right? I can't literally go out there. I mean, I could, but it would be most likely a waste of my time, right? Do I want to put my energy there, right? Because these people are not ready to understand it, let's say, in the way that you guys do. And how do we know that? Because I put it out there, and if you're watching my YouTube, you're feeling called to it from your soul, right? So you know you're in some form of alignment with what Spirit has to say through me and teach through me, okay? And therefore, there is a more positive, healthy experience for you and me, or energy exchange. Universe guides me to do that, so I do it from love. Now, if universe guides me to go out there and talk openly on a soapbox in the street, then by all means, I will probably be doing it, all right? But I don't think I won't be asking Spirit, okay, why am I doing this, right? But I'm using this as an example to give you a better understanding of how do I want to put my energy out in the world, by going and talking out in the street in this example, right? And it could take me hours to get them to see things consciously in a different way than Earth World Belief Society teaches, and in their belief systems, which are in alignment with that within them, right? So there's a whole way of being that each individual has of their own habits, patterns, and beliefs within their soul, right? So do I want to spend my energy going and doing this? It's one thing if Source tells me to. It is entirely another if I see that and do I feel that in my heart, because that's universe and my soul working together, my soul with love energy that is God in the highest form, right? My highest heart self. And if they tell me to do that, that is one thing, right? To be governed by that. And then I'm going to check everything with Source. Check meaning feel it in my heart, make sure this is the best thing for me within that space. And then most likely I will be doing it, right? All right. But in the case of, should I be doing this? Just like giving unsolicited advice, right? Do you want to put your energy into that? Because when you do stuff like that, then you're expending energy. If the person doesn't ask, then it is not invited. Then it is wisest to not get involved. It's one thing, like if you guys were to call me and say, hey, Lynn, I need your guidance on X. And people do this all the time. My clients, just people who met me somewhere or have a question or whatever, they're like, Lynn, can you tell me about this, right? And guided by universe, I will usually answer their question from love, right? Because I'm guided, because my job really is to help people. But if the person is being unwell and coming from an unwell place, I'm going to feel that energy. And universe is going to be like, nope, with my soul. And my soul is going to be like, yeah, would you like to do a reading? Because this is going to take more time maybe, or because they're not in the healthiest space of love and they don't want to honor me, or do I need to spend my energy in a toxic place with somebody? Do you see? So these are all things to think about when we address people, right? And how to address people in a positive, healthy way where we're not always talking. Sometimes we just don't do things, or we don't answer people, or we walk away because we don't want to spend our energy. Maybe we've told somebody 5 times how we felt about something, and so we don't answer it. Or maybe or answer their question, right? Because how many times can we tell you and you're not listening, and yet you keep asking the same question? So it's time to let it go. And do I want to put more of my energy into that, right? So these are ways to deal with situations and issues and things that come up by just walking away, being quiet, not answering, not saying anything. Sometimes those are the best ways because the message gets through, right? And if they want to address it, then they can address it further with you. And you will know by how you feel in your heart if this is the best way to handle it. And if you don't know, then you ask Source, okay? There's plenty of times when I can yell and say, fuck you, I'm not doing it. Or I can just say, hey, that doesn't work for me. I can explain it, right? And in this Mars energy, again, you're going to be more likely to react, right? Like my Burger King story that I'm going to tell you shortly, which is crazy, right? But you're more likely to react. But there's other ways, like I'm explaining to you, of handling things and letting it go and not getting involved and not expending your energy and not being all wild with it. All right. Sometimes that's the best way to do things, right? Is to not say anything at all. Let universe. Or sometimes I'll even be like, angels, send them the answer. Take the answer to them. Thanks guides. Thanks my peeps. Thanks for taking care of this for me from love. So they will answer. Let them get the message, right? right? Just like this weekend, for example, I did a show, and then I didn't do a show, but I went to a show. I did some really awesome, incredible, amazing lectures at Cecil College in Elkton, Maryland. And at the end, I was purchasing some merchandise, and I didn't have the time to go back and get it. And it was snowing, and the weather was bad. And I was like, you know what, God? The people had already gone by the time I got out and was supposed to get downstairs to get the merchandise, right? The people had already left. So I didn't want them to think that I wasn't going to take the items that I put aside and I was supposed to go back and get, right? So I was like, okay, God, send the angels, tell them to call me, tell them to find my number or give them my number or let them have my number and let them call me so that I can buy the stuff from them and they know that I'm not letting them down and I'm doing what I said I would do, right? Because that's super important, all right? Integrity, okay? And doing the right thing from love, all right? You tell people you're going to do something, you do it, okay? All right. So what did I do? I sent the angels to go and tell them. And lo and behold, 2 out of those 3 people called me up. And those obviously were the things that I was supposed to get, right? And maybe down the road, I'm sure if I ask God, which I did, that these people will also, right? This other last person who I bought some stuff from will also then be in touch with me to purchase the items, if this is what's best for me. Do you see? So again, this is working with God, working with love to create everything you need. So everything I do in this space of God is guided in the space of love, in the space within me, my highest heart self, and being a top-end metaphysical teacher. Everything I do in this space must be guided from here, okay? So if I'm yelling, fuck you at the Burger King person, right? Whoever's at the Burger King, there is a reason for this. I'm guided by spirit, as crazy as this sounds. The dude is calling enlightenment. He's throwing his shit at my table. He's being nasty to me, right? This is the kind of shit that a lot of people in different vibrations of love energy or on their spiritual journey are not ready to understand, right? And this is part of that explaining things to everybody. Do I really want to go into that energy? So I'm telling you here this now, all right, in this space that I am in, if I tell somebody that I'm guided by a higher calling with my soul's mission, okay, and in this space, right, stuff like this will happen through me with spirit because the person calls it in. They call in enlightenment. They call in their own nasty thrown right back at them. And that's when that shit really happens through me. It's not, a lot of people be like, oh, you're a bitch and you're mean and what kind of a fucking spiritual teacher are you? And I do run into those things, and I'm like, hey, the bottom line is I don't have to worry about what you think or whoever it is that thinks I'm shitty and I'm unwell and all this stuff. I know where I am inside of my soul and with God, and I know what my mission is and everything that I am from love. And this is who I am. And everything I take to God, take to source, take to love in the highest form. Even after it happens, when it happens in some shit in the moment, I'm like, holy fuck, I don't understand why I told this person this or why I did what I did or why I didn't answer them. And it is because in that moment, spirit guides me from love to do what is best for me and all as this energy being who came here to change the planet, heal me, and help others to heal themselves and bring themselves to enlightenment, true, authentic happiness. Do you see? So, and everybody that I speak to sometimes is spoken to in a different way. Like some days I'm on YouTube and I'm like this. Other days I'm a little bit different, but I'm always this same love energy being. So when I talk to people and I work with people, each person gets spoken to in a different way from love, okay? This is the truth about being a high-end spiritual being, teacher, person. The higher you vibrate, you will find that it's crazy. And with the work that you do as healers and people who are here to change the world and teach the world, right? The higher you vibrate, the more likely you are, right, in your journey when you say to God, okay, God, if I am this, then so let me be this. And that's what I said. If I'm this teacher, God, then let me be this teacher at the highest level. Teach them the God's honest truth and truly authentically be that so I can come here to change the world and heal me and change me and be the greatest me and the happiest me I can be. And thank you, God, for that for me. But when you do this stuff, some wild shit will continuously happen to you through your life as you learn and grow and work with spirit. It's all part of the spiritual journey, and it's all part of learning about the metaphysical and working with Earth World, which is part of the metaphysical at a different vibration, right? Okay, so that said, many times what happens is I will talk to Joe in a particular way, or I'll talk to Susan, my client, in a different way, or I'll talk to the Verizon man in a different way, or the Burger King guy in a particular way, right? So these are all examples. Some people I may yell at and scream at and then I'll be like, universe, why do we do that? And they'll be like, because this is the way they needed it to be spoken through to get the message through. Sometimes people freak out and they're like, I can't believe you fucking treated me like that, Lynn. And I'm like, oh my God, right? And universe is like, it was exactly what he needed. And then this person will be like, I'm never coming back, right? And then 3 days later, they call me back and they thank me because what I did was exactly what was supposed to be done for the best interest from love for everybody. And as crazy as that sounds, you know it's the truth, right? So that said, if you're wondering why you handle things in a certain way, and Mars again is going to still influence and be a catalyst here to make you a little more edgy, a little more irritated, a little more angry or cranky. But if you channel that energy from love, it will be about sticking up for you, doing what's best for you from the healthiest, best self-love space, and by working with God, even when you don't think you're going to do anything like that and it just comes through you. Remember to trust your soul, that this is what is supposed to be happening, right? From love in the highest form, and that your soul knows exactly what it's doing. And that's why the universe always tells me and teaches all of us that love or God always does what's best for us, even when we don't understand or agree or get it. And the best thing about what I teach is you can always go back to source and say, hey, why did this happen? Let me understand this. Let me clear out any unwellness in reference to this for me. Anything that's toxic and unhealthy with all this, clear, heal, and change that. And thank you, God, for that for me, right? Okay, really quick, I'm going to try to get to this Burger King story because here's my Mars Burger King story. What happened is I went to the drive-thru. Another girl was taking my order. I asked for a number 2 deal, right? We didn't have enough time in my crazy schedule for lunch for my family, right? Not that I eat Burger King every day, right? Or fast food every day. But what happened here is that we were ordering something and I asked the guy for the number 2 deal. You know how they have the board, right? And it was a girl and she was taking my order and it was confusing, right? But she was getting it and we were working together. Another person got on the microphone and decided to tell me that they didn't have a number 2 deal. And I was like, what are you talking about? You don't have a number 2 deal. And he's like, listen, he goes, he's like, we don't have a number 2 deal. We don't have a 2 deal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's a board here with the number 2, and that's what I'm talking about, right? And he's thinking coupons and deals, and that I want a deal, and that's not what I am thinking, and that's not what I am saying. And he is assuming, and he's directing all this shittiness at me because he's like yelling at me, and it wasn't even his fucking order to begin with, right? And I said, look, man, I said, I just want a fucking cheeseburger. I want this number 2 thing. Can I get the food or not? I'm like, I don't give a shit about the discount. I just want that, right? And he says to me, you're cursing at me, man. You're cursing at me. He said, and I said, whoa. I said, stop. I'm not cursing at you. I'm trying to explain to you what I want without all of your stuff here. You know what I mean? And then he says, don't you tell me. I know when you're lying. And then I said, no, I'm not cursing at you. And then I proceeded to go, and fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you, right? And I was pissed because here he is imposing his shit on me, telling me, assuming that he knows what I want. I'm the fucking customer. I just wanted a cheeseburger. So in his soul, I mean, of all the people to come to the drive-thru but me, right? It's crazy, right? So his soul is calling in enlightenment, and this is part of the journey for him of how it went down. And then my sister was in the front seat with me right next to me, and it was crazy. And she looked at me and she goes, after I did that, because I was like, fuck you and fuck you and fuck you, and then we drove off, right? Because I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck, man? You know, and then of course I clear it all out with God because we are human and we have experiences like this. Is a part of life, part of our growing, part of our healing, part of all that we are. My sister looks at me and she goes, okay then, there's a Wendy's across the street. It was so fucking funny. It was so funny, right? So anyways, so I'm telling you this story because this is a really great example of this Mars energy and my experiences. So people will get in your face, get in your way. They don't mind their own business. They're irritated, they're irritable, and they're directing their unwell shit on you, and they think they know what's going on. And in a self-love space for me, all I wanted was a cheeseburger. Just take my order, please. I don't give a fuck about the discount. I'm not even in that God space where I need a discount. You know what I mean? And if I am, clearly He'll change all this in me. Thank you, God, for that for me. So believe me, I prayed, I cleared, I healed, I changed, and I created a better way of me to be from the highest form of love. Thank you, God, for that for me, and thank you, God, for that for us in the best way for us and all, or something better. Okay, so I got to tell you the Mars story. I'm so proud of myself for getting everything in this 21 minute video tonight. Today, and I hope that explains everything. If you have any questions, by all means, ask. Again, this is a great example of this Mars energy craziness. Going to be coming in and out, on and off throughout the year, depending on what's happening in the stars and all that is Earth or this dimensional energy, and as well as what is happening inside of you and your chart and how everything is going and coming together. All right. Kind of like a puzzle piece. Things trigger different things in our lives. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great night. Any questions, call me, and so much love. We'll talk to you in a day or so.